We
I
back.
want to see your fit 3D scan.
It gives me no grade. Because my hip ratio is terrible.
Alright.
Cool. All right, everyone good? Okay, what's up, YouTube? All right, we're gonna start. How we'll break this down. We're gonna go over the Fit 3D scan. If you don't know what this is, we had it both coming and Alpharetta. If you haven't had a focus meeting, we're just gonna walk through how to read it on your own. Some of it, if you want to get more detailed, there's links where you can go further in, but we're gonna cover the basics of it, and then we're gonna talk the nutrition aspect of how to make your scans better. All right, so this right here, if you've done the scan, I would pull it up as a full website so you can see the details of this. YouTube, you guys, it's probably gonna be really hard for you to see, but we'll talk through it. So it's going to give you your silhouette scan. So basically the images that it took. You can either click on View 3D Scan or Show Full Scan. So the View 3D Scan, it's going to show you front, side, all the good stuff. So, and this is why it says to wear tighter clothing, just so that you can see the full scan of the body. And then you close out of that. So you guys are going to see these 3 tabs here: body shape, body composition, and fitness level. That's what we're going to focus on, is those 3 tabs. So body shape for this individual right here, who, I don't know her stats, I'm not sure. Basically, it takes your stats. So female, male, height, age, all the stuff that you guys plug in, and it's going to give you a body shape rating based off of how many other individuals that are equal to your stats, so same female, height, and age, and it's going to give you a body shape rating based off of how many of those other people have stepped on the Fit 3D scan. So this isn't like a national average, this is just how many people have signed in through Fit 3D scan who have stepped on this and have gotten their stuff scanned. So for her, she sits at a 56. For her, that's average pushing into ideal. So blanket statement, the higher your body shape rating, the better. All right, so it goes all the way down from 0 to 100. We want that number to be higher, and it's going to rate you within, again, the people who have stepped on Fit 3D. So she can definitely move forward, probably where would her peak be, like right here, right around 75, 72. So as you can see, it starts dipping down. So there's not a lot of people with her stats who are above me. All right. So again, she's probably in her later 30s or 40s. It's going to show you, keep going up, so we're starting right here. So it's going to give you her waist circumference, 33.8 inches, waist to hip ratio, the trunk volume continues to pull down, and then posture. So if you probably can't see this, but she's got a little bit of a tilt, all right? So she may have been holding it wrong, or maybe she's got an injury. There's a lot of reasons why people would have a tilt, just the way we stand. We're dominant on one side, but being mindful of that, especially when you're lifting weights on leg day and upper body, is trying to really find that center balance. If you go down even more, it's going to show you balance. So this, sorry Kate, but your balance is terrible. All right, so if you look at this, she's heel dominant, so she's probably a little bit heavier on the back side, and maybe she stands more on the hip. So she's light on her toes. So remember, your body's least path of resistance is this, right? So being able to pull your shoulders back and balance your weight is something that our bodies don't love to do, but we have to force that. So again, she feels dominant. She needs to try to maintain balance more on the front of her toes and balance that out. So, and then here's all of her inches.
And I had someone ask me about the waist. This is where they measure the waist, and someone was like, "Oh, I'm a 28 waist, and it measured me at 34." Where they measure it can be different, and then the clothes that you're wearing are gonna make an impact on that as well. So if you're wearing something that's like, if you're wearing tight leggings that are like pushing your stomach up, it's gonna read that.
Yeah. Yep. So that covers that tab. So just go ahead and scroll up, Kenzie. There we go. Now we're going to move on to body composition. So body composition, body fat percentage, she's at 27.38. Again, this is ideal. How does she compare to all the other people who have stepped on a Fit 3D scan that are her staff. So 27.3, she's pushing towards the ideal, and now this scale goes, this graph goes the opposite. We want to decrease body fat and increase muscle mass. So it breaks it down. She weighs 159.7 pounds. 43.7 pounds of that 159 is fat mass. All right, and then the other 116 is all lean mass. We want to, again, decrease fat mass and increase lean mass. For women, I know we're all different ages and things like that. However, I would say a blanket statement of less than 30 pounds of you should be fat mass. But again, it all depends on what your individual goals are. But right here, and then this is another thing people say, oh my gosh, I have 43 pounds to lose. No, you don't. All right. So if I'm saying I want you at about 30 pounds of fat mass, it would be 13 pounds of pure fat, not water weight. All right. So that's another thing to measure. So when you see your scans, if it says fat mass at 42, that doesn't mean you need 42 pounds of loss. Because remember, especially when we need that essential fat, so she shouldn't really be dipping below 15 pounds.
And which one includes like your skeletal system or all that?
That's going to be in your lean mass. Yeah. Yep. So again, and then the weight, right? So if she decreased 13 pounds of actual fat, but she increased lean mass, that doesn't mean this is going to drop by 13 pounds because she's increasing fat, or excuse me, increasing muscle, decreasing fat. So she could really only come down maybe 8 pounds, but now her stats are overwhelming. Does that make sense? Cool. All right, so we'll go ahead and scroll down a little bit more. It's going to go back to her posture, and then balance, measurements, all that stuff. Still the same stuff. And then finally, my favorite tab is the fitness level. All right, so you guys will see this. Everyone's BMR is going to be different. Basal metabolic rate is probably one of the most important numbers you can know about yourself, and that for her is right around 1347. So what this means, you guys, and I'm going to put it in layman's terms, and it even says right here, the amount of energy your body is burning while rest. The amount of energy, aka calories, your body is putting out during rest. So if Kate were to lay around all day, not elevate her heart rate, chill, she's not doing anything, no walking, no nothing, chilling. Netflix and chilling. Her body is burning 1,400 calories, just chilling. All right, so this is where we get into what we're going to talk about next is nutrition. So every person in this room has a BMR. Again, they give her, how does she compare? So she's about average when it comes to her BMR. Now, go ahead and go back a little bit. So probably more like right in here is where she would be ideally. Go ahead and hit that. So right around 1,600 to 1,650 is where it's suggesting her BMR is. So it is a healthy thing, and it's something that we should be trying to achieve is a higher basal metabolic rate. What does that mean in layman's terms? If you have a high BMR, it means your metabolism is functioning at its best, and that you have quite a bit of lean mass. So if you take someone like Patrick, his BMR is 2,000 calories. So if he were to just sit around all day and do absolutely nothing, which you'll never see him do, his body burns 2,000 calories. Same thing with Kyle in the back, and they both have, if you look at them aesthetically, they both have quite a bit of lean muscle, right? So we know their metabolism is good. Now, if Patrick with his stats, if he stopped working out and his nutrition dipped, you would see his BMR would go down. So BMR, the higher, the better. The higher the BMR, the indication of a strong athletic body and a fast metabolism. So we want to always increase BMR. How do you compare? And with this, you guys, how do you increase your BMR? That's where the nutrition comes in and the strength training. And that's what we do here.
The thing you want to say is you can be on that side, even if you're like skinny. Right? If you have no muscle and you're very skinny, very thin,
Yeah.
you can still be on that side. Your metabolism is not affected.
Correct. And then one thing with this, you guys, and we're going to touch on this, is a lot of us don't know our BMR, and we eat well under our BMR. So imagine what your metabolism is doing if you're So, and let me back up. So if Kate is burning 1437 just living, that's what her body's doing. It's creating that much energy, that much calories out in a day. That's not including her burn workout. That's not including her chasing her children. That's not including her walking up and down the stairs, doing laundry. So at baseline, she should be adding 800 calories on top of her BMR to compensate for the calories she's burning in a day, up to sometimes 1,200. And so that's where those fitness trackers come in and they can show you. So baseline, here's where she's putting out in a day. If she's working out and she's going, which we all do every single day, no one sits around, especially if you come to the gym, you want to add at least 800 to 1,000 calories to that.
Minimum, you need that amount of calories.
Right.
Just as important.
Yeah.
Once
That's
you
just what
drop
your
below that,
heart beating.
yeah.
That's the energy your heart beat spends.
When we say your body creates X amount of energy, that's X amount of calories. Now, if Kate, and I'm going to cover this, if Kate were to chill all day, do nothing that elevates her heart rate, she would want to eat less than her BMR. Why? Because that's all she's burning. So in order to lose body fat, she needs to eat less than what her body is outputting. But you're not going to see that very often. Now, everyone has probably seen like the 600-pound life. This is a great opportunity for us to measure that individual who weighs 600 pounds, look at their BMR and say, okay, your body is outputting 2,300 calories. You, because you're just laying there doing nothing, you should be eating lower than what your BMR is, but that doesn't apply to 99.9% of people in this room. We good on that?
Do you guys have any questions so far?
I'm just based on like maybe talking to a few people about this stand. If you are smaller, you can expect to see a lower basal metabolic rate. Like I would never have a $2,000 or 2,000 calorie, basal metabolic
That
rate.
depends on.
Like mine can like be 11, which is not like because I think people are like, oh, way lower than I expected mine to be. If you're a smaller human, you can expect it to be.
So that's where you
correct?
kind of want to look at your graph here.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's going to compare you to, now, if you're at 1,100, but you weigh 115, you're somebody who's comparative to how much you weigh, your height and your age, their max could be like 14. So then you know there's some room for growth. And how would you do that? Continue to cut body fat and increase lean muscle mass. And you will see that. So prior to pregnancy, my BMR was right around 1,700. Now it's dipped down to 14. And because I've lost some muscle mass, right? And I've gained body fat. So the how you increase this stuff is doing exactly what we're trying to train and teach you guys here is nutrition and then keeping up on your workouts. So anybody else have any questions?
Do you guys understand what BMR means? Basal metabolic rate? For those parts?
So yeah, it's really good. And that's on that third tab over for fitness level. So again,
And this is like fitness key when you really like.
Yeah, they just started working out.
yeah. So
This is like heavy.
No.
No.
This is,
yeah.
there's some random things.
Yeah, this is,
Yeah, no.
there's
Dollar ads.
definitely room for improvement. But moving forward, every time she steps on this Fit 3D scan, it'll track progress. And it will show if the BMR is raised or lower. And it's not something where you can hire your BMR in 2 weeks, right? Like there's time that goes into it because it's dealing with your metabolism and how much energy your body outputs. So this is something that probably every 60 days could have some sort of alteration to it, but a lot would have to change. Like the diet would have to change, like a whole lifestyle. Your BMR is not going to change if the nutrition doesn't change and you just increase your activity. Yeah.
What about if you're like dehydrated and you don't have to do this for like really hot flex numbers?
It won't, not too much. No. Yeah. No, I mean, it maybe by, I mean, I haven't worked with Fit 3D for, I've never actually worked with it. I've always been in body scan, in Omron, but it recommends that you're hydrated and recommends that.
And I think it's important to do it at the same, every time you get scanned, every time you do the Omron, you do it, so it stays consistent. First time you do it, you're on an empty stomach just before you work out. Next time you do it on an empty stomach before you work out, because that's what's gonna give you the most consistent results. So, I mean, whether you're dehydrated or not, I mean, it just depends on if you do it on a Saturday morning after you've gone out all night, Cindy, it might be.
And you
it might
would
be-
have to hit like 3 to 5 days of inconsistency with water for
Yeah.
it to really be considered a dehydration. So if you like didn't drink a ton for the last 48 hours, it's not really it.
And there's an article, I think it's on their Instagram, it's how to properly prep to do
Yeah.
your scan. And it's like, hydrate properly, eat clean for days leading up so that your scan, especially the 3D, like actual body scan, doesn't get affected by bloating, by, just water weight, stuff like that. So it's properly hydrate for up to a week before as well as between so that you get your true body measurement rather than something that's, I ate way too much sodium the night before.
Right.
So I'll try and find that and we can post it for people who can scan, but.
Yeah, but I mean, you're not gonna, even if you try to like diet down for
Yeah.
Fit 3D, you're not gonna see a big jump in the numbers, especially your BMR. It's true to how much energy is coming out of the body. So, what's up, Kyle?
How's that track going?
How should you track
How
it?
do I know where I stand?
All right, we'll get into that. We'll come back. We're gonna segue. Perfect segue. I like it. Thank you.
Have you decided if you guys
Moving along.
machine?
Have we what decided?
Are you gonna keep it?
We hope to. I think we just want to make sure that it's useful and people are, yeah, I think we'll circle back around. Yeah. Yeah, so just, and to cover that, if you're a member, this machine is over 8 grand. So this is something that, and Patrick has 2 gyms, that he can't just have one machine, he'd have to probably get 2 to make everybody happy. And so with that, it would be something to where we add on like a $10 a month pricing to your membership, and it's unlimited scans. But we'll kind of cross that bridge when we get there. We just want to put this in front of you. And I think it's helpful for you guys to see your numbers and not just hear it from the trainers, actually visually see it. So we will circle back around. I hope we keep it, but again, we'll see what happens with that.
Well, I would
There you go. Okay. All right. So we're gonna, yeah, go ahead.
How does this machine compare to the water tank as far as accuracy? Do you know what I'm talking about? The water tank?
Yeah.
Where actually go all around your air and then they
Yeah.
scan your body.
So I've never actually I've never done it. I don't know much about it, but I would say if it's measuring BMR, I can't imagine that these numbers are too far off from one another. Yeah. Even apps that have like put all your stats in there, how active are you, how much do you work out, how many minutes do you work out. Her and I use the Paige Hathaway macro calculator.
It's pretty accurate.
It's very, yeah, and it's just
It's
taking,
not off.
yeah, and it's basically taking, now this is not asking you how much activity you output, it's measuring that by the stats that you're standing on the scale. But there are things where like the chambers like that, and it's just gonna execute how much basically lean muscle mass you have, how much energy is going on, how the heart rate is going, and the metabolism. So yeah, I would say if anything, they're maybe 50 to 100 calories off from their BMR, but they're all pretty consistent. Our Omron, the handles that just does body fat and BMR, is not going to show you basal metabolic rate.
And
Yeah.
when you look at accuracy in terms of like comparing the different machines, like for example, when you're looking at, obviously we're not going to get a water tank in here, but looking at just the options to really get everyone accurate reading, like if you're looking at just pure accuracy, it goes the water chamber, Fit 3D, and then it goes, what's the other one? Embody scan, and then the Omron. So it is like the second best to like actually going and doing your full,
Yeah.
weight in the water
Yeah.
chamber.
Yeah, cool. So we'll segue into nutrition, and this is going to help you guys. The nutrition aspect of it is 80% of it. You probably hear this all the time. It's not. Now we live in a culture that says do more activity, go, eat less, go, eat less, cut your carbs, cut this, cut that. 1,200 calories. I am still to this day so confused as to why people think 1,200 calories is the way. Now, if we're looking at Kate, okay, and she actually goes to her boot camp, and from what I know of her this morning, she's a mom, all right, and she's working. So if her basal metabolic is at 1437, should Kate be eating 1,200 calories a day? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. All right, because she's not This is baseline. This isn't even including her calories burned for the day. So this is where we're going to jump into understanding, now that you guys understand BMR and what your BMR is, there's also something called a total daily energy expenditure, TDEE. What does that mean? Calories outputted in 24 hours, amount of energy that your body outputs in 24 hours, and that's going to include things like your workouts, doing all the things up and down the stairs, going to grocery shopping, all that stuff. And so we're going to, now that you have your BMR, now let's talk total daily energy expenditure, and let's talk calories for your body. And probably everybody in this room is going to be different in calories.
And I will say, the app that we use to track your TDE, normally when I do a one-on-one with you guys, I write down your BMR, I say, here's bare minimum what you need just to be a human to function. I say, here's your total daily expenditure. And whatever our goals are, if we're trying to put on muscle, if we're trying to lose fat, we're somewhere in between there. And I will say the app that we use is pretty accurate as far as calculating your BMR and your total daily energy expenditure. So also, if you guys have an Apple Watch, I always pull up, just kind of see where I'm at. On the day that I work out, my total daily expenditure is going to be a lot higher. If you have Apple Watch, you have this activity app right here, and you can click on your day, and it'll tell you in a day how many, your total calories that you burn. Now, I don't wear my watch when I sleep, so it doesn't count sleep. Sometimes when I put it on in the morning, it'll add like 300 calories maybe. It's not a whole lot. But for yesterday, for instance, I did leg day, and then I was here for 5 camps. I put out 2,733 calories just on a Friday. And so I think that's really helpful, especially when you're trying to figure out what to eat, what not to eat on a day like today. I eat way more than I would eat on a day like Sunday. It changes.
And if her metabolism is properly adapted to what her body does, she is going to feel increased levels of hunger on the days
Right.
she's outputting.
Exactly.
And I don't know, I would imagine that everybody in here has gone through a leg day, and you can probably validate what I'm about to say. On leg days, you're a little extra hungry, right? Because those are big muscles that you just exhausted, and it's a hardcore workout. So those kind of things, that's where you do not want to suppress it and say, nope, I'm still on my low carb stuff. You want to eat. You can't. And real quick, what happens in the muscle building process is when you guys are lifting weight, you are absolutely destroying the muscle. You are destroying the muscle. It's like, I'm not just over exaggerating. You are destroying your muscle fibers. So after the gym, so the work happens in the gym when you're destroying those muscles. To build it is all outside of the gym. That's where the protein comes in, the carbohydrates. The muscle cannot recover and build if it's not getting enough. And I'm not just going to say protein. I'm saying enough food. It's just not. It's just going to continue. You won't see a lot of muscle growth. And when I say like muscle growth, I don't want that to be confused with, well, I don't want to get bulky. You can't get bulky if Jen cannot get bulky by eating 1,200 calories. It's physically impossible. The muscle will not grow. Now, she will absolutely put on body fat because her body is going to want to store everything she eats in order to preserve the energy to get her to where she's got enough calories or enough energy output. All right. So I pulled up this app, you guys. This is Paige Hathaway. She's a fit, so I'm not endorsing her by any means. But her macro calculator is one of the best out there in terms of, without putting you on a machine and measuring it, it's just going to ask you, as long as you're being truthful with it and you're being consistent with it, it's going to show you a pretty good representation of, again, your BMR and how many calories your body is outputting today. So I can use me for an example, 34 years old. And this is paigehathaway.com, macro calculator, female. I'm 5'4", currently weigh 177. And so I always use lean mass. So it says athletes, that's for lean people. But if you click down on the lean mass formula, you can actually give it your body fat percentage. So current body fat percentage, 31%. How would you just, and then it's going to ask you. So this is where it's going to ask you, this is going to help it to understand how many calories you're outputting a day. So it's asking me what's my normal daily activity. And I would say right now, consistently, I'm probably more on a lightly active. I've cut out all burn workouts. How many days a week are you exercising? I would say 2, maybe 30 minutes. And then right now, I would say moderate. Cool. So calculating that, and then, so again, a fit body had me at about 1,400, but I'm actually not working out right now. So if I was really true to that, and I went and adjusted it, so adjust it real quick to my light. I would go light, and then I would probably cut that down to 0, to be real. Yeah, so it's just gonna change that. All right, so BMR is showing, again, it's about 100 calories more than what Fit3D put me at. But I said that, it's 50 to 100 calories. Now, my total daily energy expenditure, my body is outputting at least, I'm gonna round it up to 2,000 calories a day, right now. That's what I'm outputting. Now, can that fluctuate? Yes. And now that I'm not training camps anymore, will that number go down? Yes. But it's not going to be a consistent thing where I should change a bunch of stuff. But here's my stats for now. So 1569 at rest. If I were to just hang out all day on the couch and wait for baby, my body's still outputting almost 1570 in calories. So for me to eat 1,200 calories, no bueno. All right, I should still be increasing my food. My total daily 1961. So it's going. If you continue to scroll down, oh no, sorry, right here, to the deficit, right there. All right, so here we go. Deficits. What is a deficit? Deficit means a decrease in calories. So if you're outputting 2,000 calories in a day, in order for you to be at a fat loss state, you have to consume less than what you output. I'm outputting 2,000, I should not be eating 2,000. I should be eating less. Now this is where it gets a little like, well, how much less? 12, 1,100, 1,000 calories? No, you want to stay no more than a 15%. I like to say 10, but this is fine. We'll go with a 15% deficit. So if again, I'm outputting 2,000 calories, it's saying I should be right around 1667 for a fat loss state. To maintain my weight, I would be right about what I burned, right? I burned, scroll real quick for me. So I'm burning 1961 to maintain my weight. I'm eating the same calories that I output. To be in a bulking state, which is really intentionally growing your muscles, I should be eating over what I output. All right. Now, if she takes me down to a aggressive 20% deficit, go up. My fat loss calories have now dropped down to 1569. A reckless deficit at 25%, I don't want to ever see anybody there, would be below my BMR. So a lot of us are in this reckless and above when it comes to calories. And that's why we can spend years at burn and not really see much. Or we do this throughout the year. We yo-yo, up and down. Or moms, we look one way for kids, and then all of a sudden have and then we can't get the weight off. It's, more often than not, it's tied into how extreme your deficit is. Now, if I am burning 1,900 calories in a day, and my deficit is more than reckless, so I'm eating below my BMR. This is what happens with the internal body. It believes that it's an aggressive state of dieting, and everything starts slowing down. Your BMR will slow down, your ability to burn calories, X amount of calories will slow down. So hypothetically speaking, if I'm outputting 2,000 calories in a day, and I drop myself down to 1,000 calories, within 6 to 8 weeks, my metabolism will have slowed down, my BMR will dip, and I will start losing muscle mass because my body will attack my muscle for energy, and I'll become soft and squishy. Skinny fat is what the fitness industry calls it. So there's a lot that happens when it comes to eating the proper deficits. Now, our culture and what we live in assumes if you are carrying extra body fat and you're obese and you're overweight, it's because you overeat and you need to stop eating so much and you need to cut your calories and you need to cut your carbs and you need to not eat this and you need to not eat that. That's false. That's absolutely false. I've been at Burn for 3 years and I've seen it time and time again. I have a female who's 42% body fat. It's a lot of body fat, right? And then she shows me a food log of 1,000 calories. It's not because she's overeating. It's because the body is in an aggressive state of dieting, that the metabolism has dipped. Her BMR is probably 1,000, maybe 1,200, very low for where she should be. And it's that mentality of, well, I can't. And then in addition to that, you have what is called a leptin hormone, which is a hunger hormone. That also, when we dip down very low in calories, that adapts to what you're doing. So you're not going to be cued by your leptin, your hunger hormone, when you should be properly eating, because the body's in an aggressive state of dieting and survival mode. So it's not going to cue you like it should in terms of calories. So that's kind of, I know there's a lot of information. Does anybody have any questions at all?
What was that website?
The what?
What's that?
PaigeHathaway.com.
PaigeHathaway.com. Is that what you're asking? Yeah, Paige Hathaway. And I know that when you put your stats in, some of you may be like, wow, that's a lot of food, or that's a lot of calories. But again, if you sit down and do the proper research, a child, a toddler, I have 2 kids at home, 2 and 4, should be at bare minimum 1,200 calories. Bare minimum. To operate a child's body to 1,200 calories. The 2 girls back there, they should probably be right around 1,000 to 1,200 calories, and they're probably a quarter of the weight that half of us are. So it's mind-blowing, and unfortunately, it's just one of those things where we're kind of misled when it comes to nutrition. But if you start looking at food as fuel for the body, it's not so much, oh, this is so many calories. You'll fuel yourself up for a good workout to get through. And a lot of times we opt for those midday, I know. And when my nutrition is not on point midday, I crash. And I start reaching for the coffee. I start reaching for maybe sweets, these things that trigger, my body starts triggering me for crap food, energy drinks and stuff, and I don't reach for the good stuff. And typically, if I start feeling that midday crash, if I actually look back in the early part of my day, I probably missed out on calories, because now my body's like, or in the middle, get the kids to bed and it's like, oh, let's go. Well, we got the pantry, but if I'm properly fueling myself throughout the day, you'll see that those cravings and those things, they minimalize, because you're giving your body exactly what it needs.
And the same thing goes for, like, say on a weekend, if you're like, oh, I want to save my calories all morning, I'm only going to drink coffee in the morning, I'm not going to have a lunch so that I can save all my calories in the evening, so you can go big, you can go out to eat, or you can drink, or whatever. I was like that at one point. I was like, I'm just going to go all out and eat a 2,000 calorie dinner when I go out. Now that I'm on a schedule of meal prepping, I get the calories that I need in the morning. I get the I know what I'm going to eat is the biggest thing that helps me. I know what I'm going to eat for breakfast. I know what I'm going to eat for lunch. By the time I get to dinner, I don't have those cravings. Sure, do I enjoy something when I want it? Yeah, but I don't feel like I have to just load all this stuff in by the end of the day. And then, like, that's where the cravings is. By the end of the day, I'm so hungry. Yeah. I'm like, I want anything that you put in front of me.
Yeah, and that kind of goes into a relationship with food too. Like, yes, there is food that is beneficial to your body, and there's food that's not beneficial, but labeling it clean, dirty, good, bad is garbage. And saying cheat meals, like, who are you cheating on? Yourself? Like, so that mentality of like, yeah, I'm gonna throw down a cupcake right now, and it's probably gonna like spike my sugar levels, and I'm probably not gonna feel really great, but I really want it, and so be it. I move on from it, but it's not like, oh, this is terrible, now I gotta, have all this shame and, kind of self-loathe, like, it's one of those things where part of this is a relationship with food and how we view it. Now, I'm not gonna go hit up a cheeseburger and french fries pre-workout. I'm going to feel terrible. But there are days post-workout where I'm like, let's go. It's time to slam some food. And that's how we should be viewing stuff, though. It's like, let's go. I'm going to build this muscle. I just destroyed my workout. I want to grow muscle. And that's another thing that I want to touch base on. So you can't build and cut. I know that's an unfortunate thing, but you can't, I want muscle, but I also want to look lean right now. It's one or the other, right? Because again, in order to grow a muscle, you got to feed it, and and it takes time. Now, I'm not saying the word bulking, especially for women, scares the crap out of us. Absolutely, I get it. I've been there. But there is seasons where you have got, we both men and females, have to relax off the dieting mentality and allow ourselves to eat enough calories, maybe even maintenance calories, to grow muscle, if that is your goal. All right. Now, some of us in here say, for me, I've been weightlifting for 15 years, and I'm like, my quads they're big enough. I don't necessarily want to grow them anymore. My strategy on making sure that I don't grow more quads is going to look different than maybe Kenzie's. So again, that's where you lean into us so we can help you with that. But there is times where I think everybody needs to relax on the dieting mentality of, oh, I want to look this way, I want to look that way, and take time to nourish the body, grow the muscle, and then do mini cuts in between. But again, it's like black or white. Like I want all this muscle, but I want to be lean and I want to be shredded. You can't. Like you can't. You got to take it's seasons, right? It's seasons of properly growing and getting stronger, and then there's seasons of maintaining someone like me and trainers and stuff like that. We've gone through those different seasons of putting on muscle, cutting down, putting on muscle, cutting down, to where now it's just maintenance for us, right? But that looks different for everybody in this room. People who have never lifted weights, you've got to give yourself time to eat enough calories to build that muscle so that you can get to a point where it's maintenance for you. It's the muscle's there, it's not going anywhere, you know how to eat, your metabolism is good, but that takes time, a lot of time.
Have you talked about strategies too? Like, for example, a lot of people, everybody started with a intermittent fasting or keto or low carb, high carb, whatever. It doesn't matter what you do. Before you do that, you need to understand how your body works, right?
Correct. So basically what that means, and hear me now.
Keto does not work for me.
There is no superior diet. There's no superior diet at all. You can do keto. Absolutely, you can do keto. You can do high carb. You can do the paleo. You can do the Mediterranean. There is no superior diet at all if you don't understand this. If I put you on a paleo diet, and that's what I want to do it, my friend lost 60 pounds, I'm going hard, cool. Well,
At the end of the day,
how many calories? You still need to be eating enough calories, and that's one thing I'm gonna put this out there and squash it now. Anything where you're cutting carbs, you will see an initial drop in the scale. Why? Carbohydrates hold water. If you took a carbohydrate, think about rice. When you squeeze that stuff, water comes out. You squeeze vegetables, water comes out. Fruit, all that stuff, water comes out. If you're pulling all of that out of your body, absolutely you will drop weight. It's water weight, it's not body fat. So we need to be careful of that, because we can be convinced that, well, the scale went down, I feel leaner, I feel flat. And that's another thing. Carbs, because they hold water, we may look fuller. But if you pull that stuff out of your diet because you think that's the way, I can guarantee you'll gain a sensitivity to them. So then when you put them back in your body, you're going to blow a lot of times. Yes. Yeah, girl. Yeah. So I'm not, and then I'll touch on macros and then you can jump in. So macros, calories, come from macronutrients. Macronutrients are carbs, fats, and proteins. Carbs, fats, proteins. There are 3 macros that are in everything that you put in your mouth that you eat. There's a macro tied to it. There are only 3 macronutrients, and I am a firm believer that you should not be cutting any of those macronutrients out, especially if you understand what the purpose of that macronutrient is. So carbohydrates, for example, it is your main source of energy. Now, if you're on a keto diet, you have eliminated the carbohydrates from your diet, your body then produces ketones, all right? And that's what your body goes to for energy, but you have to be completely eliminated of carbohydrates for your body to produce those ketones. You can't be carb-ish, keto-ish. It has to be one or the other, or it's not properly working. So carbohydrates, when you guys start warming up on this gym floor and you feel that heart rate elevating, if you're not in a ketosis state, your body is like, where's the carb? Where's the carb? I need the energy. So, and a lot of times if you come in on a leg workout or a cardio workout and you start, you can, I can guarantee you, but did you eat anything? No? Okay. That's right, because the body has no source of energy and it's depleted from that. So carbohydrates, that's the main source of energy for your body, unless, again, you're depleted of them, and then your body is producing ketones, and that's where it goes to but you can't be no carb for 3 days, and then 3 days on, 3 days off, and your body's creating those ketones. It's not gonna work. That's not how it works. Protein is the main source of protein is to build and restore muscle, build and restore muscle. So somebody who's doing burn workouts, yes, we push protein because you can't build and restore muscles without the protein. Now, somebody's laying around, again, using a 600-pound leg, I'm maybe not going to have them on such a higher protein diet because they're not working out. I would keep them balanced in their macros, but again, if you're lifting weights and you are working out at least 3 days a week, you need protein, all right? And that will differ for some people. Again, someone like me who has a lot of muscle mass and maybe I'm trying to lose my quad size, maybe I wouldn't consume 140 grams. I would take myself down to like 115, right? Because my muscle, like, give me protein, I'll grow. Now, your fats. So we covered carbs, proteins, your fats. Your fats are important to cushion your joints and your organs. That's what it's used for. So those 3 macros, our body uses those 3 components for purposes. So cutting and eliminating one of those macros out of your diet, I'm just not a big fan. And that's where I stand. Now, if you came to me and you're like, this is what I want to do, cool, let's work through it. But I'm still going to make sure you're eating enough if we take out fats or if we take out carbohydrates. But I think a lot of times people just start cutting stuff and cutting macros because they think that that's the way, when we're not fully informed of why we have those macronutrients in our bodies. And then micronutrients are your vitamins and your minerals. Micronutrients can be found within macros, but macros are the carbs, fats, proteins.
Yeah, I'm a big believer too. Like, I think there's a time and place for certain diets. There's a time and place for keto. If you've got an underlying health issue that maybe you go to a doctor and they recommend that, I think that's an option. But it goes back to like what I tell people one-on-one in focus meetings. Like, this is something that you can maintain for the rest of your life. You know, some people say, well, I want to drop, 40 pounds of fat, and I heard someone did it on keto, so I'm going to do that. I'm like, all right, well, is this something that you want to do for the rest of your life? You don't want to eat carbs for the rest of your life? Is this something that you can maintain? And 9 times out of 10, it's something that they don't want to do for the rest of their life. And then goes the tracking. Like, I tell people like, I don't want to track, like, it gives me a weird relationship, which I understand, and I tell people the goal is not to have to track. Like, I'm kind of at a point, like, I track, but I kind of know, have a general idea of what I need to eat in a day. I'm sure, like most of you guys that come in, I've been coming for a while, you understand that too. The goal is not to have to track for the rest of your life. The goal is to get to the point where you can get, maybe you maintain for a little bit, maybe you cut, maybe you build, but it all comes with doing it more, understanding your relationship with food, understanding how many calories your body needs, and the same goes with the macronutrients as well. I mean, I was at a point where I was not eating enough calories, and I'm like, why am I not seeing any changes? Christina's like, you gotta eat carbs. Yeah. So that plays a big part to it too. Yeah. I think, like, going into it thinking, all right, lifestyle, what can I maintain? Can you maintain eating 900 calories a day for the rest of your life? Probably not. Because as soon as you start eating that food again and getting back to a normal calorie base like this is, your body's going to hold on to all that because it thinks that you've been starving for years. So
and it takes time too. It takes time. I came off of my background is I used to diet down for bodybuilding shows, and part of that is I slowed my metabolism down. And then so when I did increase food, I did see an inflammation, and I did see the weight go up. But I had to. It's reverse dieting. I had to reverse the diet that my body thought it was on, and allowed time. And it can take somebody up to 2 years to properly reverse a diet. And what does that mean? Properly restore the metabolism to where it's adapted to what it should be versus being suppressed so much. So it takes time. And that's why I stress so much to try to really, especially for women, like, embrace it. Embrace the ups and downs, because if we can do that, and we can be consistent, we can contract for a little bit, the rest is a breeze. Me, 5 years ago, I'm not going all the time, tracking, swollen, hormones were all out of whack, went through a stage of binging and throwing up, all that stuff. And it took me to finally get pregnant and allow my body and mind to relax that I started seeing my metabolism. And I would just eat. I would try to intuitively eat. I would eat when maybe I wasn't necessarily hungry, but maybe I've got a little protein shake in, because some of it you're gonna have to fight your body on. Like, well, I don't really feel like eating breakfast. Well, you just did a leg workout, so why are you not eating right now? So some of that you have to condition yourself. Now, I mean, now I can look at a plate of a plate, and I can tell you roughly how many calories are on that plate, about how much protein I'm getting, carbs and fats. And the beautiful thing about that is I have a family to take care of, so I can properly feed my children too. I can properly put enough protein on both my son's plates, and fats and carbohydrates. And I'm not like, look, this is the protein, carb, and fat, but I can properly feed myself, my family. And a lot of times, like with nutrition, is a lot of times the question I get is, well, what should I eat? Well, you got to figure it out. Like, if you don't know how to properly feed yourself, you should be hungry for this knowledge, right? Because not only do you not know how to feed yourself, but you may not know how to feed family or whoever. So it's one of those things where you take the time, track your food. And the reason why we push tracking food so hard is because a lot of times in folks' meetings I'll hear, oh, I overeat. And I'm like, I bet you don't, because I know you're not pushing 2,200 calories and then we do track our food. We're like, oh man, I actually am not eating enough. And it's like, cool. So now we have a solution to the problem. The problem is you're not eating enough and your body's in this aggressive state of dieting. Now let's reverse it. And that's the hard part in terms of mentality, is the reverse diet of like, wait a minute, you want me to increase my food but still lose weight? Absolutely. Absolutely. I've seen it time and time and time again. So it's just a mentality part of it. Does anybody have any questions? No? Do you guys feel like you understand? And you guys put focus meetings, because I can talk on this all day long and I can break it down. Patrick, you got any questions? You got anything to add?
No.
You sure?
No.
Yes.
So if they're going about eating for your blood type, or they have these like tests on you to see what your body tests on you.
I've heard, about like blood type, like, yeah.
What do you think about
So I've never done it before, and again, I'll go back to, I'm a big fan of looking at the macros behind things, right? Like, carbohydrates are there for me to have energy, protein's there for me to build the lean muscle, and then fats are there to help me cushion the joints and the organs. Now, I would say if any of that stuff is pulled out of your diet, there's going to be a sensitivity to it, but I'm not 100% convinced that a blood type is going, and a food associated with that blood type is going to make you see different results.
What about
I think, now, I eat meat, but I'm also not opposed to somebody getting enough protein off of plant-based vegan diets. I think either way, it's a personal preference. Like, it's how you feel too. Now, what I'm not a fan of is high protein, no carbs, no fat. Like that's not the way. Again, you're eliminating macronutrients. But if somebody came to me and they're completely vegan and plant-based and they're eating enough, I'm like, yeah, cool. I'm interested in that, but I personally am not going to cut out animal protein. I I enjoy them, and I think that my body is fine with them. So I mean, and then you have dietitians and coaches out there who feel that plant-based is the way. I don't see any evidence-based research that shows that plant-based vegan is going to get you in better shape or be better for you than animal protein. So that's anytime I put information out there, I always want to see the evidence behind it. So, and there's a lot of documentaries out there that will try to fight me tooth and nail, but again, some of that stuff is subjective. Yeah. And of course, the documentary based off of not eating animal protein or eating animal protein is going to give all the information on why you should versus looking at both sides. So.
I think it's just important to exactly. It's important to see how your body responds.
Yeah. I will say, like, when I eat red meat, I get, like, my stomach I feel bloated, so I don't eat a ton of red meat. But if someone else can eat red meat and they have no issues to it, then cool. I would recommend eating it 3 times a day. That's it. I think things in moderation, but I wouldn't be able to eat chicken every day if I did it. So, yeah. Do you guys have any other questions? Hopefully that was informative for you guys. Be encouraged, all right? Eat when you're hungry. Don't suppress the appetite. Don't be afraid of those carbohydrates. Ooh,
So it's okay because like, on the weekends, my kids are like, having lunch and McDonald's and stuff like that. So it's okay to do that.
So here's what I want you to leave the room with. It is better for me to have a mediocre diet and eat enough calories, staying in my 15% deficit, than for me to not eat enough food for my body and eat all the beautiful calories. Yep. So if you want to throw down McDonald's every couple of weeks with your children, and especially with children, the fact that they see mom doing it, they're not going to develop this like, oh, that's bad, I can't have that, mom dieting, what does that mean? No, like, I'll eat donuts with my kids. I don't want them to think that that's a bad food, mom will do it. Now, if we have a donut in the morning, we're probably not going to have ice cream after dinner. You know what I'm saying? So teaching them those habits of like, this is beneficial, not good, it's beneficial, this is not beneficial to the body, but it tastes good and it's okay to eat, So, and having that mentality as a female too, it's freeing. It really is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. Cool. Great. Thanks, guys. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.